Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Bastille Day. Bastille Day is the common name given in English-speaking countries, lands, to the French National Day, which is celebrated on the 14th of July each year. In France, it is formally called and commonly and legally, the French National Day commemorates the storming of the Bastille on the 14th of July 1789, a turning point of the French Revolution, as well as the Fête de la Fédération, which celebrated the unity of the French people on the 14th of July 1790. Celebrations are held throughout France. The oldest and largest regular military parade in Europe is held on the morning of the 14th of July, on the Champs-Élysées in Paris in front of the President of the Republic, along with other French officials and foreign guests. Storming of the Bastille. On the 19th of May 1789, Louis XVI invited a States General to air their grievances. The deputies of the Third Estate, representing the common people, the two others were the Catholic clergy and the nobility, decided to break away and form a National Assembly. The Third Estate took the tennis court oath, swearing not to separate until a constitution had been established. They were gradually joined by delegates of the other estates. Louis XVI started to recognize the validity of their concerns on the 27th of June. The Assembly renamed itself the National Constituent Assembly on the 9th of July. Jacques Necker, the finance minister, who was sympathetic to the Third Estate, was dismissed on the 11th of July. The people of Paris then stormed the Bastille, fearful that they and the representatives would be attacked by the Royal Army or by foreign regiments of mercenaries in the King's service, and seeking to gain ammunition and gunpowder for the general populace. The Bastille was a fortress prison in Paris which had often held people jailed on the basis of lettres de cachet, arbitrary royal indictments that could not be appealed, and did not indicate the reason for the imprisonment. The Bastille held a large cache of ammunition and gunpowder, and was also known for holding political prisoners whose writings had displeased the royal government, and was thus a symbol of the absolutism of the monarchy. As it happened, at the time of the attack in July 1789 there were only 7 inmates, none of great political significance. The crowd was eventually reinforced by mutinous Gardes Françaises, whose usual role was to protect public buildings. They proved a fair match for the fort's defenders, and Governor de Launay, the commander of the Bastille, capitulated and opened the gates to avoid a mutual massacre. However, possibly because of a misunderstanding, fighting resumed. According to the official documents, about 200 attackers and just 1 defender died in the actual fighting, but in the aftermath, de Launay and 7 other defenders were killed, as was Jacques de Flesselles, the prévôt des marchands, the elected head of the city's guilds, who under the feudal monarchy also had the competences of a present-day mayor. Shortly after the storming of the Bastille, late in the evening of the 4th of August, after a very stormy session of the Assemblée Constituante, feudalism was abolished. On the 26th of August, the Declaration of the Rights of Man and of the Citizen was proclaimed. Fête de la Fédération. On the 14th of July 1790 was a celebration of the unity of the French nation. During the French Revolution, the aim of this celebration, 1 year after the storming of the Bastille, was to symbolize peace. The event took place on the Champ de Mars, which was at the time far outside Paris. The place had been transformed on a voluntary basis by the population of Paris in what was recalled as a mass was celebrated by Talleyrand, Bishop of Autun, the popular General Lafayette, as captain of the National Guard of Paris, and a confidant of the king, took his oath to the Constitution, followed by King Louis XVI. After the end of the official celebration, the day ended in a huge 4-day popular feast, and people celebrated with fireworks, as well as fine wine, and running nude through the streets in order to display their great freedom. Origin of the present celebration. On the 30th of June 1878, a feast was officially arranged in Paris to honor the French Republic. On the 14th of July 1879, there was another feast, with a semi-official aspect. The day's events included a reception in the Chamber of Deputies, organized and presided over by Léon Gambetta, a military review at Longchamp, and a Republican feast in the Pré-Écoute Catalan. All through France, Le Figaro wrote, people feasted much to honor the storming of the Bastille. On the 21st of May 1880, Benjamin Raspail proposed a law to have the Republic choose the 14th of July as a yearly national holiday. The Assembly voted in favor of the proposal on the 21st of May and the 8th of June. The Senate approved it on 27 and the 29th of June, favoring the 14th of July against the 4th of August. The law was made official on the 6th of July 1880, and the Ministry of the Interior recommended to prefects that the day should be celebrated with all the brilliance that the local resources allow. Indeed, the celebrations of the new holiday in 1880 were particularly magnificent. In the debate leading up to the adoption of the holiday, Henry Martin, chairman of the French Senate, addressed the chamber on the 29th of June 1880. Bastille Day Military Parade. The Bastille Day Military Parade is the French military parade that has been held on the morning of the 14th of July each year in Paris since 1880. While previously held elsewhere within or near the capital city, since 1918 it has been held on the Champs-Élysées, with the participation of the Allies as represented in the Versailles Peace Conference, and, with the exception of the period of German occupation from 1940 to 1944, the parade passes down the Champs-Élysées from the Arc de Triomphe to the Place de la Concorde, where the President of the French Republic, his government and foreign ambassadors to France stand. This is a popular event in France, broadcast on French TV, and is the oldest and largest regular military parade in Europe. In some years, invited detachments of foreign troops take part in the parade, and foreign statesmen attend as guests. Smaller military parades are held in French garrison towns, including Toulon and Belfort, with local troops. Thank you for watching. Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Please like and subscribe below. Please like and subscribe below.